Well, first of all, it starts in the home. We talk about schools, and I can go up and down and sideways about schools all day long. But let's be quite frank. If we're going to be honest here, then we need to start in the home. And the failures all start in the home. I mean, you've gone through putting youngins through school. I've done the same thing. I've actually worked with my business, I've worked inside the walls of the school district around me, and I have watched the destruction, the undoing, the dismantling of the family. And you can see it. It is tangible from 10 or 12 years ago. But it didn't start then. It didn't start 20 years ago. This started 100, 120 years ago. And the destruction of the family is the number one goal of the movement that is trying to foment destruction right now. Because if you don't have that, if you don't have that elemental foundation on which to rely, you have nothing. And that's the point. But you have coddling. I think it was Jonathan Haidt wrote the book, The Coddling of the American Mind. And that is absolutely 100% must read material if you care about this kind of thing, because it talks about exactly what we're looking at right now. And what you mentioned about not being taught critical thinking skills and specifically being taught an agenda, a message, being taught what to think and not how to think. And that's why it's comical. I mean, it's tragic, but it's comical whenever you see one of these clowns get into a debate or an argument or a back and forth. And if you knock them off their talking points, they're done. All they do at that point is start calling people names and casting aspersions, because they're done. They have no original line of thought in their head, which goes back to read, write, think, connect. Because if you don't, you're never going to be able to formulate a thought. You're never going to be able to get into the space where, when you're an adult and you need to deal with friction in an adult fashion, you're not going to be able to do it. You're not going to be able to handle it. First of all, you've had, we went from helicopter parents to lawnmower parents. Have you heard that one?
You have said that before, and I'm not real sure I understand.
Well, the helicopter parent is the one that hovers above in the background. They're up there just making sure that everything's okay, instead of, their children, helicopter parents, the children of them are bumping into walls from time to time, but the parent is right there to swoop in. Boom. And they're the ones that always blink.
That's kind of me. I hate to admit it.
That's toxic. That's the worst thing you could possibly ever do to your children. And it is the hardest thing as a parent to fight, because it is so unnatural to let your children fail and struggle. You desperately need them to be okay, but it is fundamentally fatal to the development of a human if they don't learn how to fail and pick themselves back up. And that is not a blame game on anyone, because it's the hardest thing in the world to fight. But a helicopter parent is that one that swoops in whenever things go wrong. A lawnmower parent is the worst thing ever. A lawnmower parent or a snowplow parent. They're the ones that get in front of the children and mow the path. So the child is right behind them. No. Never, ever, ever, ever has an obstacle. Never has a struggle. And they're the ones that these celebrities out in California and all that were, buying their kids grades, and they were purchasing their entire academic careers, everything from grades to extracurriculars. How is that young adult ever going to function in life? They're not ever, 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 ever. And that's what a lawnmower parent does. All of a sudden, you have produced a chronological adult, a physiological adult that steps out into the world and goes, oh, fuck, what's going on? None of this makes any sense. Stuff's mean. Wait a minute. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, you find yourself in a protest with whoever burning down the Walgreens, or not even that bad. You're just standing on the side of the road holding a sign that you don't even understand the words to, because you have stepped into a world that doesn't make any sense because your parents failed you. Your teachers failed you. The entire system along the way failed you on purpose because they wanted to create exactly what you are, because you know what you are now as this physiological, chronological adult that doesn't have a clue. You're controllable.
I was going to say you're theirs. Same.
Yep.